Hi everyone, this is Sousanna Pogosyan and welcome to the Basement Tapes. I really am a curious cat, so this is where we're gonna explore new ideas, talk about any issues, talk about life really, and where your faith takes you, whether you have faith or you don't have faith. I hope you come here with an open mind and you enjoy this episode. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Basement Tapes. Today, I have a very special guest with me, Father Grigor from Armenia, who is an Armenian apostolic priest and is also a founder and an organizer of the only Down syndrome center in Yerevan, Armenia, called the Arev Children Foundation and Center. Thank you so much, Father Grigor, for being here with me. I first like to ask all my guests, how are you today?
Thank you. I'm happy and grateful for our meeting and once again for seeing you in Armenia. I'm confident that with this program, we'll be able to break at least a few stereotypes in some way and warm up and bring society closer to the suns.
First and foremost, I think the Arev Foundation, and it started 2 years ago, is a big important factor in Armenia. We understand that, the Armenian culture is not so accepting of certain disabilities culturally. How has this center helped mend with family members who have Down syndrome children, and how has it changed somewhat the perspective of the citizens of this country?
The center has been operating for 7 years now. The establishment of the center came about after the birth of my child, Monte. I have 3 children, 2 daughters, and my long-awaited 3rd child, a son. During the pregnancy, we found out that the child would be born with Down syndrome. It was very difficult. I've said many times that if it weren't for my spiritual state and my faith in God, it would have been much harder for me. The decision was clear. The child had to be born. But to be honest, after his birth, we experienced a second wave of stress, because it's one thing to know, think, or try to cope with it in some way. But it's another thing entirely when you see it with your own eyes, feel it. The child you'll be with your whole life who will have a disability. After Monte was born, things were very tough for a while. But then I realized that this was simply a gift given to me by the Lord. I understood that God had a plan for me, and He wanted me to experience this firsthand, to understand those parents, those children, and to be able to bring real, meaningful help to children and people living with Down syndrome. That was the birth and the founding of the center. That was the reason. Before my child was born, I had seen children or people with Down syndrome a few times, but as a member of society myself, I had no real understanding of it. I too had stereotypes. There were many stereotypes, and there still are, but thank God, we can say that we've already broken many of them. Society's attitudes are very difficult. For example, when I was with Monte in the United States, it was completely different there compared to here. There, when we went out for a walk or to public places or events, people would see him, understand, and with smiles, joy, and even giving us priority, that approach us. And as a parent, that would make me feel good. In Armenia, it was different. I'd go out intentionally, walking around, trying to break those stereotypes as a clergyman and as someone somewhat known, by walking around the city with my child to challenge those perceptions or stereotypes. At first, people's surprised looks, turning around to stare a second time, really angered me, but we overcame it. Being a priest, a spiritual figure, helped a lot. This uniform helped me. If they respected the uniform, they respect the clergyman wearing it, and therefore they respect my child too. Monte, you've seen him, is a very sweet, a wonderful child. And by loving Monte, people started loving the other sons too. They began recognizing the other sons as well. And when we opened up and didn't close ourselves off, all those families where there were son children, where there were kids with Down syndrome, slowly started opening up too. They came to us and said, we're parents in the same boat. We have sons too. Secondly, we started working and tried to create a few social videos. If you remember, last year we held the premiere of one of them in the United States. In this way, we're trying to break those stereotypes, and thank God we're succeeding so far. I'm confident we'll achieve even greater success.
How many families have been impacted so far? How many families and children have you helped? Do you guys have like a number, an estimate in the past 7 years since the center has been open?
At the center, the number of registered children and people with Down syndrome is approaching 200, but we can only provide services to a maximum of 75 to 80 children because we face issues with facility conditions and shortage of specialists. We currently have a physiotherapist, a special education psychologist, an occupational therapist, and a special education teacher. Besides these specialists, we also have the Sunbells group. I'm sure you've heard of their concerts. And we've created the Sun Theater, where all the actors are children with Down syndrome. And now I can proudly say that Sunbells is the only group in the world where only children with disabilities perform. There are groups where children with Down syndrome participate alongside others, but this is the only one where all the members have Down syndrome. And even more so with the Sun Theater, because all the actors are children with Down syndrome. Let me also say that the reason for creating this was because there was a stereotype. There was a stereotype that they couldn't do anything. It's hard for me to say this word, but there was this notion in society that they were, idiots. I apologize for saying it. As a parent, I said, I need to prove that they can, that they're the smartest children. Today in Armenia, these children took to the big stage at the Puppet Theater performing Buratino as a musical. The Solar Bells have performed with famous people, jazz musician Vahe, the Yerevan Quartet, and they've taken to various stages. This is a great joy for parents too, because the parent sees it, understands it, and that stereotype breaks for them too, that their child really can do it, can take the stage, can perform alongside with well-known and famous people.
So I worked on a TV show in America that followed Down syndrome adults, and it showed how they lived their life normally. It showed them working jobs. It showed them getting married. It showed them that because they have this disability, it doesn't mean they can't live a normal life. They can with the right support and the right resources. The show highlighted, and it won many awards, it highlighted how accepting people should be of this, of the Down syndrome, child. And I really hope that, the center that you have does a very similar thing to this country and around the world, to kind of shed light that they can have a very normal life, work, learn, grow, be in plays, play music. And I'm just in awe of the barriers that your son and the foundation is breaking. I think it's crucial for everyone to know that. Where do you see the future of Down syndrome children in this country now that you do have this great resource?
Եթե անկեղծ լինեմ, դեռ
To be honest, I don't fully see that future in Armenia yet because desire alone isn't enough. It requires significant investment. We have plans for the future, like a day center where children could come, stay, and learn to live independently. Because of us parents, for me and others like me, it's a big concern. What will happen to this child after me? If God forbid, I'm gone tomorrow or in a few years, how will my child live? In places like the United States, for example, this isn't an issue because the state fully supports children with disabilities. In Armenia, it's still a problem. There, during my visits to the US years ago, I saw how they make them full members of society. Here, that's still an issue because children aren't prepared to work, or even if they were, are society and employers ready to take them in and give them jobs? These are problems, serious problems. I don't think they'll be solved quickly in Armenia. We need to work and put in effort, but that requires significant investment and dedicated people. At this moment, I don't see that.
Well, we could only take matters in our own hands, right? I think God gives us the strength to figure out how things can be possible. I fully understand you and your concerns, and I think everyone understands and sees that. And I think what is so important is that we meet those investors, find those investors, work harder in order to provide more opportunities for them in this country. And it's a matter of like us doing the work to help others because no one else is going to do it.
I'm confident there are opportunities and capable people who can help us have a permanent center. Beyond the center where we currently provide professional services to develop the children, we want it to continue perhaps with a day center where we can train them in some professional skills or crafts so that in the future, if their parents are no longer around and they're on their own, they can live independently. I've never underestimated our homeland or our state. Unfortunately, the state's current condition is such that it can't fully help or support as much as we'd like. But I'm sure there will be people who will be helpful, whether to keep the center alive or to address the concerns we have about what will happen to our children after we're gone. I hope we'll see these questions resolved.
I get that as a parent, that's like your number one fear. Like when you're gone, who's actually going to care for your child the way that you care for them?
I just want to note something about unity. If someone doesn't have this problem, they shouldn't think it doesn't concern them. If we're people of faith, if we accept the Lord as our Father, then we're brothers and sisters in Christ. If my brother or sister has this problem, that doesn't mean it's not mine too. If, thank God, a child with a disability wasn't born into their family, that doesn't mean that if one was born into mine or someone else's family, it's not their concern. We need to stand by each other, hold hands, find resolutions to these issues, be useful, and share both the pain and the joy together. Right now, I have the opportunity to leave Armenia and live in a European country or the United States. Many have suggested I take my child there because he'd be secure. But I haven't gone because I believe it's not just Monte who's my child. All the son children are my children. I can't just take him and leave Armenia for his salvation or to better organize his future. I share everyone's burden and accept that all the sons are my children, and I don't have the right to think only of myself. Take him and leave to secure just his future. I think it would be right if we all lived this way.
That's beautiful. I just want everyone to know on this episode that they have the opportunity to donate to Olive Children's Foundation. I'll put the link in the show notes. And I just want to say thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. It is people like you and Monte that make changes in this world, whether it's small or big. It doesn't matter. As long as you're changing at least one life, I think that's everything. And I know God has blessed you with the right, how do I say this? It's, to me, it's a blessing that you're able to experience what you're experiencing the way that you're experiencing it right now. I think everyone has an assignment in this life, and everyone's assignment is different. And the way that you're carrying your assignment is, I admire it very much. And I just hope and pray that the opportunities for you, your son, and the rest of the Olive children are increased, and that there are just all good things come their way, and that may we just day by day break the barriers and the judgments and anything that is limiting to them, because they don't deserve that, and they deserve to be respected like everyone else.
Thank you very much. I'm the one who's grateful that you hosted me and gave me the opportunity to share our story and talk about our sons with your audience and the public. Taking this chance, I'd also like to offer my filial respect to the primate of the Diocese of the United States, His Eminence Archbishop Hovnan, as well as my beloved spiritual brother, Father Vazgen, for their constant support over the past 3 years. May God strengthen them and grant success to all their God-pleasing diocesan works. Thank you to you and to everyone who has contributed, big or small, to the cause of children with Down syndrome. May God bless you all.
And that's a wrap with the Basement Tapes. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, please subscribe and please make any donation to the Olive Children's Foundation. The link will be right below. And I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you.